questions. So, Martin Luther King, y'all, really evolved toward the end of his life. He evolved, and his later works he called the beloved community. Okay? And in King's beloved community, he would challenge all the values and institutions of our society and combine the struggle against racism with a struggle against poverty, militarism, and materialism. He would exposing the evils that are deeply rooted in the whole structure of our society. And war and weapons are a much deeper struggle within the American spirit. We know that. Somebody ought to say amen. Because folks ain't giving up their guns. Somebody ought to say amen. As if you need an AK-15. Somebody ought to say amen. So, but also you have material growth has been made an end itself. So which means that you got people who will do anything to get stuff. So they'll work 4 or 5 jobs just to get what? Stuff. Not to pay off bills, not to give out of debt, but just to pay off, but just to acquire more what? Stuff. Because materialism is so woven in our structure, in our psyche, in our mindset. And see, and then you move to our scientific power has outrun our spiritual power. So King shifted from a thing-oriented society to a person-oriented society. Next slide. So let's look at Wakanda. Yes, ma'am, Sister Carla. Go ahead.
Our scientific power has outrun our spiritual power. Can you help me to understand that, please?
How the technological advances have gone so far that we would rather rely on them than we rely on our spiritual power. Okay? And that didn't just start happening. That's been happening for a long time. Okay? So let's look at Wakanda. Because I'm going somewhere, y'all. Notice, if you will, in Wakanda, they were against war unless it was what? Necessary. Okay? They had women in leadership. They had black people in leadership. And there was an intergenerational wisdom. Remember the council? It was different people in the council. Okay? And they had a restorative justice, which means that anybody who was from Wakanda, who had left Wakanda, could always what? Come back, because they would identify them by asking them what? Who are you? Okay? They held fast to tradition, but the embracing of the new. Okay? And they were advanced in technology. And I just got out of a meeting with finance count teams. And one of the things I'm saying, just because we've been doing something well does not mean we what? Can't what? Improve. So they were constantly what? Improving. The last one is, next slide, Sister Angie. Next slide. Okay. Okay, yeah, let's go back to the, okay, so, and those who are watching online, if you go to the sermon notes, it's in the notes, the handouts that we have here are in the sermon notes. Okay? So, they also were isolated. They intentionally isolated themselves from what? The rest of the world. They did not share they did not share its resources, and there was inner turmoil. And it doesn't deal well with issues, whether it's family issues. The two sons, the prince and his cousin, both had daddy issues. The prince was insecure, and his cousin could see that they could what? Share power. Okay? Next slide. Questions, comments. We say all of that to get to this passage. Hebrews 10.